You've been lied to about money your entire life. From fake Einstein quotes to toxic advice that's keeping you broke, we're exposing 50 money myths that millions of Americans still believe. And myth number 37? It's probably costing you more than all the others combined. Think you know how money works? Think again. Today, we're not just busting a few myths. We're demolishing an entire financial house of cards that's been built on lies, misconceptions, and straight-up propaganda. These aren't just harmless beliefs, they're financial traps that have kept generations stuck in the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. So buckle up, because by the end of this video, everything you thought you knew about money is about to change. Let's start with the most famous financial quote that's completely fake. Albert Einstein supposedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. This quote is everywhere, on bank posters, in finance books, spouted by advisors. One problem: Einstein never said it. The New York Times first claimed this in 1983, but Einstein died in 1955. There's zero evidence he ever uttered these words. It's like claiming George Washington tweeted about cryptocurrency. But here's the real scandal. Compound interest isn't even that magical. With today's pathetic savings rates at 0.01%, inflation eats your money faster than compound interest can grow it. Johnny Carson actually had a better take in the 1980s. Scientists have developed a powerful new weapon that destroys people but leaves buildings standing. It's called the 17% interest rate. Now that's the truth about compound interest when you're on the wrong side of it. This myth is credit card companies' greatest trick. They set minimums so low you feel like you're being responsible. But here's the math that should terrify you. A $5,000 balance at 23% APR, the current average, paying just the minimum? You'll spend 13 years paying it off and fork over $450 total. That minimum payment? It's designed to maximize their profits, not help you. Usually only 2 to 3% of your balance. It barely covers interest. One woman from Ohio told me she paid minimums for 10 years on a $3,000 balance and still owed $2,800. The credit card company made thousands while she stayed trapped. Think of minimum payments like trying to bail out the Titanic with a coffee cup. Sure, you're removing water, but the ship's still sinking. Credit card companies are counting on you believing this myth. It's literally their business model. Social media gurus love this one. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. But nobody, and I mean nobody, can cite where this fact came from. The IRS doesn't even track data this way. It's the financial equivalent of an urban legend. When researcher Tom Corley actually studied American millionaires for 5 years in his Rich Habits study, the average was closer to 3 streams, not 7. Most got wealthy by being exceptional at one thing first. Warren Buffett? Investing. Jeff Bezos? E-commerce. They didn't spread themselves thin juggling 7 mediocre income sources. Here's the truth. Trying to manage 7 income streams usually means you're terrible at all of them. Focus beats diversification when building wealth. Master one stream, then maybe add another. This 7-stream myth has people driving Uber while day trading, while selling on Etsy, while flipping houses, and wondering why they're exhausted and broke. Your parents drilled this into your head. The American dream demands home ownership. The government literally gives tax breaks to push it. But financial expert Ramit Sethi calls this the #1 myth that needs to die. When you pay rent, you get shelter. When you pay a mortgage, you also get shelter. Plus property taxes that never stop, maintenance that never ends, HOA fees, and insurance that costs triple what renters pay. Robert Kiyosaki nailed it. A home is a liability, not an asset. One couple from California rented for 20 years while investing the difference. Their portfolio is now worth more than their friends' houses, and they never fixed a roof at 2 a.m. The real estate lobby has convinced Americans that rent is waste, while ignoring that mortgage interest, taxes, and maintenance are also money you'll never see again. This fantasy has destroyed more American retirements than any market crash. Sure, you'll stop commuting, but healthcare? Fidelity says couples need $315,000 beyond Medicare. That's not including long-term care, which runs $90,000 pluses annually. Tax expert Ed Slott puts it bluntly. Most retirees are shocked to find they're in a higher tax bracket than when working. Why? Required minimum distributions from 401ks and IRAs force you to take taxable income. Plus, you've lost deductions like mortgage interest and kids. One Florida retiree told me, I budgeted for golf and grandkids. I didn't budget for $100 to $200 monthly Medicare supplements and $15,000 dental implants. Property taxes keep rising even on fixed incomes. The myth of cheaper retirement living is keeping millions of Americans dangerously underprepared. This myth keeps working Americans on the sidelines while inflation eats their savings. I'll invest when I have real money, they say. Meanwhile, apps like Robinhood, Fidelity, and Vanguard let you start with literally $1. You can buy fractional shares of Amazon, Google, or index funds from your phone. No minimums, no barriers. Yet 55% of Americans own zero stocks because they believe this outdated myth. One janitor famously left $8 million to charity, not because he earned millions, but because he invested small amounts consistently for decades. The real crime? While you're waiting to have enough to invest, inflation is guaranteeing you'll have less purchasing power every year. Starting with $50 monthly at age 25 beats starting with $500 monthly at 45. Time in the market beats timing the market, but this myth steals people's most valuable asset, time itself. After every crash, this myth explodes across social media. The market's a casino. It's rigged. And for day traders, it is gambling. 90% lose money trying to outsmart algorithms. But here's what doomsdayers ignore. Patient, diversified investing is the opposite of gambling. In a casino, the house edge guarantees you lose over time. In the stock market, owning pieces of profitable American companies has created wealth for millions. Over any 20-year period in market history, index fund investors made money. Every single time. Warren Buffett says the market transfers money from the impatient to the patient. The S&P 500 has averaged 10% annually for a century. That's not gambling. That's owning tiny pieces of thousands of businesses producing actual value. The real gamble? Keeping cash while inflation destroys 3 to 4% of its value yearly. This phrase exploded after 1987's Black Monday crash. People still cling to it like a life raft. Yes, you need an emergency fund. We'll cover that. But hoarding cash beyond that is financial suicide by 1,000 cuts. With inflation averaging 3 to 4% annually, your $10,000 cash will buy only $7,400 worth of goods in 10 years. It's melting ice cream in slow motion. Meanwhile, that same $10,000 invested historically doubles every 7 to 10 years. Cash isn't king. It's a guaranteed loser. One wealth manager told me, my clients hoarding cash for safety don't realize they're guaranteeing future poverty. Keep 3 to 6 months' expenses liquid. Beyond that, cash is trash. Even Warren Buffett says holding cash is betting against America. In a country that's innovated through every crisis, that's a terrible bet. Oh, you think you're special? You can predict when stocks rise and fall? Here's Vanguard founder Jack Bogle. After nearly 50 years in this business, I do not know anybody who has done it successfully and consistently. Nobody. Studies prove market timers underperform buy-and-hold investors by 3 to 5% annually. Over 30 years, that's the difference between $100,000 becoming $430,000 versus $1.7 million. Missing just the 10 best days in 20 years cuts your returns in half. Peter Lynch ran the best-performing fund ever and said, far more money has been lost by investors preparing for corrections than in corrections themselves. Every crash has profits claiming they called it. Where were they the other 99% of the time? The market timer's graveyard is full of people certain they were smarter than everyone else. The internet screams, diversify your income. But this advice is bankrupting the middle class. Look at actual wealthy Americans. They typically master one income source first. Only after achieving excellence do they carefully add others. Think about it. Splitting time between your job, Uber, Etsy, day trading, and rental properties. When do you become excellent at anything? Jack of all trades, master of none, broke forever. Bill Gates didn't start 7 companies. He built Microsoft. Focus creates wealth. Scattered attention creates mediocrity. A hedge fund founder who sold for millions told me, "My biggest mistake was spreading into multiple ventures after my exit. I should have stuck to what I did best." Excellence in one area beats mediocrity in 7. Build one strong income stream, then consider adding another. Americans celebrate tax refunds like lottery wins. The average refund, $3,000. But here's what's actually happening. You gave the IRS an interest-free loan all year while potentially paying 23% interest on credit card debt. That $3,000 refund is $250 monthly you could have invested or used to eliminate high-interest debt. If you invested that $250 monthly instead, after 30 years you'd have over $300,000. But no, you let Uncle Sam hold it for free. One CPA told me, "My wealthiest clients would panic at a big refund. It means their tax planning failed." Adjust your W-4 to keep your money working for you all year. Getting excited about a tax refund is like celebrating when the bartender gives you back your own credit card. This procrastination myth has destroyed more financial futures than any recession. When I get that raise, then I'll save. But here's the brutal truth. If you can't save $50 from $3,000 monthly income, you won't save $500 from $30,000. It's called lifestyle inflation. Americans making $200,000 live paycheck to paycheck because expenses expand to match income. The habit matters more than the amount. Starting with $20 monthly builds the neural pathway. Without the habit, more money just means bigger payments on fancier stuff. One couple told me they went from $40K to $150K income over 10 years and saved nothing. We kept thinking next year we'd start. Begin with 1% of income, just 1%. That's $30 on a $3,000 salary. Once you build the habit, increasing is easy. Waiting for someday guarantees, someday never comes. Wall Street sells this myth hard. Good debt versus bad debt. Leverage other people's money. But Dave Ramsey studied actual millionaires for decades. They avoid debt like the plague. The finance industry pushes debt because it makes them rich, not you. That good student debt? The average American pays $20,000 in interest. Your mortgage that's building equity? You'll pay for that house almost twice. Even strategic real estate investors often end up over-leveraged when markets turn. Debt isn't a tool, it's a trap with a marketing department. Here's the pattern. Wealthy people might use debt strategically after building wealth, but they got wealthy by avoiding it. They pay cash for cars, save for purchases, and definitely don't finance furniture. Using debt to build wealth is like using gasoline to fight fires. Theoretically possible, usually disastrous. The American dream's biggest lie. Your house is shelter, memories, stability, but investment? Let's do math. The S&P 500 averaged 10% annually for a century. Real estate? About 3.5%, barely beating inflation. And that's before maintenance, taxes, insurance, and that new roof. Nobel Prize winner Robert Shiller found from 1890 to 2004, real home prices increased just 0.4% yearly. Not 4%, 0.4%. Your home is a lifestyle choice, not an investment strategy. You can't eat home equity or pay bills with it unless you sell or borrow against it. A California couple rented for 30 years while investing the difference. Their portfolio is now worth $2 million, more than their friends' houses, completely liquid, no maintenance. The real estate industrial complex convinced Americans that mortgage payments are investing. They're not. They're buying shelter on a 30-year payment plan. Your debt-free uncle preaches this. Credit cards are the devil. But here's the nuanced truth. Credit cards are like fire. Dangerous if misused, incredibly useful when handled properly. The key? Never carry a balance. Ever. Period. Used correctly, credit cards offer fraud protection, 2 to 5% cashback, travel rewards, and help build credit history. I know people who fly first class yearly just from credit card points. Haven't paid interest in decades. The trick? Pay the full balance monthly, not just the minimum. The real myth is thinking credit cards are inherently good or evil. They're tools. A hammer builds houses or breaks windows. Depends on the user. If you lack spending control, yes, avoid them. But declaring them universally evil? That's leaving thousands in rewards on the table. Life insurance salespeople want everyone believing this. But if you're single with no dependents and no debt, you're just making insurance companies rich. Life insurance has one purpose: protecting people who depend on your income if you die. Who actually needs it? Parents with kids, couples where one doesn't work, anyone with co-signed loans, that's it. If you've accumulated enough wealth to support dependents, or nobody depends on you financially, life insurance is just expensive peace of mind you don't need. The worst part? Whole life insurance pushed hard because commissions are huge. For most Americans, term life costs 90% less and provides the same death benefit. One advisor told me, whole life insurance is great for the person selling it. Buy term, invest the difference. This myth is particularly cruel because it keeps those who need savings most from starting. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. But studies show even $400 saved prevents most financial emergencies from becoming disasters. You're not too broke to save. You're too broke not to save. Start with $1 daily. $1? That's one less energy drink. But psychologically, you've broken the I can't save spell. A woman in Detroit started by saving every $5 bill she received. No apps, no complexity. After 1 year, $400 saved. I proved I wasn't too broke. I was too convinced I was broke. The amount doesn't matter. Breaking the mental barrier does. Once you save that first dollar, the second is easier. Can't save a dollar? Save quarters. The habit matters more than the amount. Being too broke to save becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that guarantees you stay broke. Financial gurus preach 6 months' expenses in cash. But perfectionism paralyzes people. Can't save 6 months, so you save nothing? That's insane. Meanwhile, that cash is dying to inflation at 3 to 4% yearly. Start with $500. That covers most actual emergencies. Then build to 1 month expenses. And here's heresy. Your emergency fund doesn't all need to be in checking earning 0.01%. High-yield savings, money market funds, even Roth IRA contributions you can withdraw. All better than letting banks profit from your dead money. One couple delayed investing 5 years while building the perfect emergency fund. The opportunity cost? About $50,000 in investment growth. Emergency funds are important, but not at the expense of your entire financial future. Perfect is the enemy of good enough. Social Security was never designed to be anyone's sole retirement plan. The average benefit? Monthly. Try living on that in any major American city. Medicare? It doesn't cover dental, vision, hearing aids, or long-term care. You'll need $300,000 beyond it. Politicians love to promise expanded benefits. But here's reality. Social Security faces a 23% benefit cut by 2034, unless something changes. Medicare's hospital fund depletes by 2031. Depending solely on government programs is planning for poverty. One retired teacher told me, I thought my pension and Social Security would be plenty. Now I'm 72 and delivering groceries to afford medications. The government might provide a safety net, but it's got massive holes. Your retirement security is your responsibility, not Washington's. Americans obsess over credit scores like they're SAT scores for adults. But here's the truth. Once you hit 740, 760, higher scores get you nothing extra. The difference between 760 and 850? Bragging rights. That's it. People pay interest to build credit, keep unnecessary cards open, and stress over every point. But credit scores only matter when borrowing. If you're debt-free with a decent score, stop obsessing. That mental energy could be building actual wealth, not maintaining a number. One couple spent years gaming their credit to hit 850. We felt so accomplished, they said. Then we realized we'd spent all that effort to be better borrowers instead of building wealth. Focus on increasing net worth, not credit scores. Millionaires don't brag about credit scores, they brag about not needing credit. People think budgets are financial straitjackets. I don't want to track every penny, but that's like saying I don't want GPS because it tells me where to go. A budget is a map, not a prison. It shows where your money goes so you can direct it where you want it to go. Without a budget, money disappears mysteriously. With one, you might discover you're spending $600 monthly on DoorDash. Real example from a client. That's a car payment. Budgets don't restrict, they reveal. Once you see the leaks, you can redirect that money toward things you actually value. The irony? People without budgets are more restricted because money controls them instead of vice versa. They can't afford vacations or emergencies because money vanishes randomly. A budget is freedom disguised as discipline. It's choosing your restrictions instead of letting circumstances choose for you. This isn't a plan. It's denial. Retirement? I'll just keep working. But 40% of Americans retire earlier than planned due to health issues, layoffs, or caregiving responsibilities. Your body and the job market don't care about your plans. Age discrimination is real. Try finding a good job at 65 after a layoff. Health issues compound. That physical job gets harder every year. One construction worker told me at 45, I thought I'd work till 70. At 57, after 2 surgeries, he's on disability with inadequate savings. Working forever is betting your future on factors outside your control. Even if you can work forever, do you want to? Having the option to retire beats being forced to work because you failed to prepare. Hope is not a retirement strategy. Americans dismiss small savings. $5 won't make me rich. But wealth is built by thousands of small decisions, not one big score. That daily $5 coffee is $1,825 yearly. Invested over 30 years, over $150,000. Small amounts matter because they add up. The latte factor is real. Not because lattes are evil, but because unconscious small spending destroys wealth building. One couple tracked spending and found $400 monthly in small purchases they couldn't remember. That's $4,800 yearly they thought didn't matter. Warren Buffett still uses coupons. Not because he needs to, but because respecting small amounts is how he became wealthy. Millionaires understand that wealth is built dollar by dollar. Dismissing small amounts guarantees you'll never accumulate large ones. Every dollar matters because every dollar can grow. This myth is poverty's best friend. They inherited it. They cheated. But Ramsey's Solutions found 79% of millionaires received zero inheritance. They built wealth through boring consistency, living below their means, investing steadily, avoiding debt. Yes, some people inherit wealth or cheat. But most American millionaires are first-generation wealthy. Teachers, engineers, small business owners who saved and invested for decades. They drove used cars, lived in modest homes, and invested the difference. Boring? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. Believing wealth requires luck or dishonesty gives you permission to stay broke. Why try if the game's rigged? But millions of ordinary Americans build wealth ethically through patience and discipline. The real question, will you join them or keep making excuses? This myth confuses income with wealth. Doctors earning $400,000 living paycheck to paycheck aren't wealthy. They're broke at a high level. Meanwhile, teachers earning $50,000 who save 20% build real wealth over time. Income is what you make. Wealth is what you keep. The book, The Millionaire Next Door, found most millionaires have ordinary incomes but extraordinary saving habits. A janitor who saves 15% of $30,000 annually builds more wealth than a lawyer spending every cent of $150,000. High income accelerates wealth building only if you save it. One couple earning $55,000 combined saved 25% for 20 years. They're now millionaires. Their friends earning twice as much? Still paying off credit cards. Building wealth is about the gap between earning and spending, not the earning alone. Increase income? Great. But without saving discipline, you're just a higher paid broke person. I'll get a financial plan when I have money to manage. This backwards thinking keeps people poor. Financial planning isn't about managing wealth, it's about building it. The best time to plan is when you have little, so you can grow it effectively. You don't need an expensive advisor. Free tools exist. Budgeting apps, investment calculators, YouTube education. The basics are simple. Spend less than you earn, invest the difference, avoid debt. But without a plan, even simple steps feel overwhelming. A single mom making $35,000 told me financial planning changed her life. I thought it was for rich people, but planning helped me find money I didn't know I had. 5 years later, she has savings, no debt, and hope. Rich people stay rich with planning. Poor people become rich by planning. Every generation gets a get-rich-quick scheme. Tulips, dot-coms, houses, now crypto. Yes, some early Bitcoin investors made fortunes, but for every success story, thousands lost everything chasing the next moonshot. Crypto isn't investing, it's speculating. The problems? Extreme volatility, no underlying value, pure greater fool theory. Your neighbor's Dogecoin gains don't make it an investment strategy. One guy told me he lost $50,000 chasing various coins. I thought I was investing. I was just gambling with extra steps. If you want crypto exposure, limit it to 5% of portfolio maximum. Never invest more than you can afford to lose completely. Real wealth building is boring. Index funds, real estate, businesses. Not hoping some celebrity's tweet makes your Shiba coin valuable. FOMO is not an investment strategy. 20-somethings think retirement is for old people. But starting at 25 versus 35 is the difference between easy wealth and lifetime struggle. $200 monthly from 25 to 65 becomes $1.2 million. Start at 35, you need $400 monthly for the same result. Time is money's best friend. Young Americans say YOLO, while ignoring that they'll likely live to 85 plus. That's 20 plus years of retirement to fund. Social Security won't cut it. Starting early means compound interest does the heavy lifting. Starting late means you do all the lifting. A 50-year-old client cries regularly, "I wish I'd started at 25 like you suggested. I'd be done by now." Instead, he's playing desperate catch-up. Your 20s feel immortal, but they're actually your most valuable investing years. Waste them, and you'll spend decades trying to recover. Youth is the ultimate financial advantage. This feels responsible, but often isn't optimal. With mortgage rates at 3 to 4% and stock market averaging 10%, paying extra on your mortgage might cost you hundreds of thousands in opportunity cost. That extra $500 monthly payment could be building real wealth in investments. Plus, mortgages offer tax deductions, inflation pays them down over time, and they're the cheapest money you'll ever borrow. One couple paid off their mortgage in 10 years feeling proud. Their friends who invested instead? They have enough to pay off 3 mortgages now. There's emotional value in being debt-free, I get it. But mathematically, if your mortgage rate is below investment returns, paying it early is choosing feelings over financial optimization. Build wealth first, then decide if you want to pay off the house. You can always write that check later. Follow your passion and money will follow. Except millions of passionate artists, musicians, and dreamers are broke. Passion doesn't pay bills. Skills that solve problems pay bills. The sweet spot? Finding valuable skills you can tolerate or grow to enjoy. Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs nails it. Don't follow your passion. Follow opportunity and bring your passion with you. Plumbers make $75,000 plus because they solve urgent problems, not because they're passionate about pipes. Build financial security first, fund passion second. One graphic designer loved art but starved. He learned UX design, more valuable, tripled his income, and now funds his art passion on the side. Following passion into poverty helps nobody. Build valuable skills, earn well, then pursue passions from a position of strength. Starving artist is not a career plan. Americans hate wasting money on unused insurance. But insurance isn't an investment, it's risk transfer. Saying it's wasted if unused is like saying a bulletproof vest was wasted if you didn't get shot. The whole point is hoping you never need it. One family dropped health insurance to save money. Their son's appendectomy cost $45,000. Another canceled renter's insurance. Apartment fire destroyed everything, $30,000 loss to save $150 yearly. Insurance feels expensive until you need it, then it's priceless. The trick is buying what you need, not what salespeople push. High deductibles lower premiums for healthy people. Term life beats whole life. But going without? That's not saving money, it's gambling with your financial future. One accident, illness, or lawsuit without insurance equals instant bankruptcy. New entrepreneurs think business ownership is a tax-free paradise. Write off your car, your meals, your vacation. The IRS disagrees. Aggressive deductions trigger audits, and tax fraud isn't a business strategy. The rules are strict and penalties severe. That Hawaii trip? Unless you conducted significant business there, it's not deductible. Your BMW? Only the percentage used for business. Meals? 50% and only if business related. One entrepreneur learned this expensively. $40,000 in back taxes plus penalties for creative deductions. Yes, legitimate business expenses reduce taxes. But the write-off everything myth lands people in serious trouble. Track real expenses, keep receipts, follow rules. The goal is building a profitable business, not playing tax games. Prison Orange isn't a good look for entrepreneurs. Every economic uncertainty sends Americans running to gold. It's real, it holds value. But gold is speculation, not investment. It produces nothing, pays no dividends, and its value depends entirely on what someone else will pay. Over 30 years, stocks crushed gold returns. The gold bugs showing charts of gold's rise conveniently ignore inflation adjustment and cherry-pick timeframes. One retiree put everything in gold at $8,900 ounce. 5 years later, it was $2,200. His safe investment lost 37% while stocks soared. So much for safety. Warren Buffett explains. Gold just sits there looking pretty. Businesses produce value. Yes, gold might hedge against catastrophe, but betting your retirement on catastrophe is a terrible strategy. Want some gold? Fine. 5% of portfolio maximum. But safest investment? That's marketing from people selling gold. This all-or-nothing thinking costs people decades of compound growth. Yes, high-interest debt, credit cards, should be eliminated ASAP. But low-interest debt? You might be better off investing simultaneously, especially with employer 401k matches. Skipping your 6% match to pay 4% student loans faster is literally refusing free money. One couple delayed investing 10 years to pay off all debt first. Cost? Over $400,000 in lost growth. Their debt-free friends who invested while paying minimums? Retired early. The key is interest rate arbitrage. Debt at 20%? Pay it immediately. Debt at 4% when markets average 10%. Consider investing while making minimum payments. Not all debt is created equal. Don't let perfect debt freedom prevent good wealth building. You can do both strategically. Contributing to your 401k? Great. Thinking that's sufficient? Dangerous. Most Americans need to save 15-20% for retirement. Your 6% contribution plus 3% match isn't cutting it. That's not even considering healthcare costs, long-term care, or inflation. Plus, 401ks have limitations, restricted investment options, high fees, early withdrawal penalties. One teacher discovered her 401k fees were eating 2% annually. Over 30 years, that's hundreds of thousands in lost growth. Diversifying into IRAs and taxable accounts provides flexibility. The 401k is a starting point, not a finish line. Max the match, free money, then explore other options. Roth IRAs, HSAs, taxable investing, all part of a complete strategy. Relying solely on employer plans is like eating only appetizers and calling it dinner. You need the full meal. Americans view bankruptcy as permanent scarlet letter, but it's a legal fresh start, not life sentence. Many successful people, Abraham Lincoln, Walt Disney, Donald Trump, used bankruptcy to recover from setbacks. It's a tool, not a character flaw. Yes, bankruptcy hurts credit temporarily and has serious consequences. But forever is myth. Chapter 7 stays on credit reports 10 years. Chapter 13 for 7. People rebuild credit within 2 to 3 years. One couple filed bankruptcy after medical bills, rebuilt methodically, and bought a house 5 years later. The real tragedy? People destroying themselves to avoid bankruptcy when it's the best option. Draining retirement accounts, borrowing from family, mental health destruction, all to avoid a legal process designed for fresh starts. Sometimes strategic retreat enables future victory. Bankruptcy isn't ideal, but it's not financial death. This Depression-era thinking is silently robbing millions. Yes, FDIC insurance protects your principal up to $250,000. But inflation, that's the silent thief nobody talks about. Your safe bank money loses 3-4% purchasing power annually. In 20 years, your $100,000 buys what $55,000 does today. Banks love this myth because they lend your money at 7% while paying you 0.01%. You're literally funding their profits while going broke safely. One retiree kept $500,000 in CDs for safety. 20 years later, it bought half as much. His invested friends doubled their purchasing power. Safety is important for emergency funds and short-term needs. But long-term money sitting in banks isn't safe. It's guaranteed to lose value. Real safety is protecting purchasing power, not nominal dollars. Diversified investing might fluctuate short-term, but protects long-term value. Banks are great for transactions, terrible for wealth preservation. Smart people lease. No, car dealers love people who lease. Unless you're legitimately using the car primarily for business, leasing is just renting at premium prices. You pay the steepest depreciation years, build zero equity, face mileage restrictions, and pay penalties for normal wear. The tax benefits? Only for actual business use, and buying used provides similar deductions without lease restrictions. One business owner leased luxury cars for image and tax benefits. 5 leases later, he'd paid $200,000 with nothing to show. His friend bought used, invested the difference, has a $150,000 portfolio. Millionaires drive 4-year-old paid-off cars, not leased BMWs. They understand vehicles are depreciating liabilities, not investments. Buy reliable used cars with cash, drive them for years, invest what others spend on payments. Let someone else eat the depreciation. Leasing is just expensive rental with good marketing. Divorce is expensive and emotionally devastating, but financial ruin forever is myth. Many people rebuild and thrive post-divorce. The key? Treating it as financial reset, not ending. Yes, you're splitting assets and starting over, but you're also splitting expenses and gaining control. Smart divorce financial moves. Get your own accounts immediately, understand all debts and assets. Don't make emotional financial decisions. Rebuild systematically. One woman went from stay-at-home mom to successful business owner post-divorce. Losing half forced me to build something mine. The biggest mistake? Fighting over every penny in court, enriching lawyers while impoverishing both parties. Mediation saves fortunes. Yes, divorce hurts financially short-term. But with planning and determination, many find themselves better off long-term. Financial independence beats staying in bad marriages for money. Noble sentiment, terrible strategy. You can borrow for college. You can't borrow for retirement. Parents sacrificing retirement savings for kids' education often become financial burdens on those same kids later. It's like airplane oxygen masks. Secure yours first. Student loans, while not ideal, exist. Retirement loans don't. One couple drained their 401ks for kids' college. Now they're 70, working at Walmart, living with those kids. The children feel guilty, parents feel ashamed, everyone lost. Alternatively, parents who prioritize retirement can help kids with loans later if able. Fund retirement first, help with college from excess if possible. Your kids have 40-plus years to recover from student loans. You have 0 years to recover from inadequate retirement savings. The best gift to your children? Not becoming their financial responsibility. Self-sufficiency beats paid tuition. You insure your car, home, even phone. But your ability to earn income? That won't happen to me. Statistics disagree. 1 in 4 Americans become disabled before retirement. Not from dramatic accidents, usually back problems, mental health, chronic illness. Your income is your biggest asset. Most employer disability covers only 60% of income and is taxable. Try living on 40% of current income. One programmer thought he was invincible until carpal tunnel ended his career at 35. No disability insurance meant selling everything, moving in with parents, bankruptcy. Long-term disability insurance costs 1 to about 3% of income. That's cheap protection for your earnings ability. Young, healthy people get best rates. Don't wait until health issues make you uninsurable. Protecting your income stream matters more than protecting your stuff. You can replace things. You can't replace your ability to earn. Older Americans cling to brick-and-mortar banks paying 0.01% interest because online isn't safe. Meanwhile, online banks offer 4 to 5% interest with identical FDIC insurance. They have lower overhead, so they pay you more. Refusing online banking is literally choosing to be poorer. Security? Online banks often have better security than traditional banks. Newer technology, fewer physical vulnerabilities. Your money is just numbers in computers anyway. One retiree kept $100,000 in traditional savings, earning nothing. Moved to online high yield, now earns $5,000 yearly. Same safety, actual returns. The only advantage of physical banks? Depositing cash, rarely needed, and talking to humans, usually trying to sell you something. For 99% of banking needs, online is superior. Don't let outdated fears cost you thousands yearly. Your money should work as hard as you do. At 62, Americans rush to claim Social Security. Get it while you can. But early claiming permanently reduces benefits by up to 30%. Wait until 70? Benefits increase 8% annually. For average Americans, that's leaving $100,000 on the table. The break-even point is typically around age 78-80. With life expectancies rising, most people benefit from waiting. One couple claimed at 62, getting $1,500 monthly. Had they waited until 70, they'd receive $2,640. Over 20 years, that's $273,600 difference. Patience literally pays. Yes, some should claim early. Poor health, no other income, or needing to support spouse. But automatically claiming at 62 because it's there? That's expensive impatience. Run the numbers for your situation. For most healthy Americans, waiting maximizes lifetime benefits. Social Security might be your only inflation-adjusted income. Maximize it. We're in love. We don't need prenups. Famous last words before expensive divorces. Prenups aren't pessimistic. They're practical. You buy car insurance hoping never to crash? Prenups are divorce insurance, protecting both parties if love fails. Modern prenups cover more than money. Debt responsibility, business ownership, inheritance protection. One teacher married someone with $80,000 student debt. No prenup meant she's now paying half. Another protected his small business via prenup. Divorce didn't destroy his company. Discussing prenups reveals financial values and expectations. Can't discuss money before marriage? Red flag. The process itself improves communication. Yes, it's unromantic. So is bankruptcy court. Prenups written fairly protect everyone. Love is grand. Divorce is 20 grand. Plan accordingly. Wall Street's biggest lie. Our experts beat the market. Reality? 90% of active managers underperform index funds over 15 years. After fees and taxes, it's worse. You're paying extra for worse performance. It's like hiring a taxi that takes longer and costs more than driving yourself. Why do they fail? Fees eat returns, humans make emotional decisions, and beating millions of other smart people consistently is nearly impossible. One investor paid 2% annually for expert management over 30 years. Cost versus index funds? $400,000 in fees for underperformance. Warren Buffett bet $1 million that index funds would beat hedge funds over 10 years. He won easily. If the world's best investor says you can't beat the market, why pay someone claiming they can? Buy low-cost index funds, own the entire market, beat 90% of experts. Simple beats complex. Banking on inheritance is planning for maybe. Your parents might live to 95, need expensive care, or leave everything to charity. Even if inheritance comes, it's often less than expected and later than needed. Building your life awaiting someone's death is morbid and unreliable. Healthcare costs demolish estates. Long-term care averaging $90,000 yearly can drain millions. One woman expected significant inheritance. Her parents' extended illnesses consumed everything. She's 60 now, no savings, no inheritance, no time to recover. Plus, inherited wealth often disappears quickly. 70% gone within one generation. Without wealth-building skills, money vanishes. Build your own wealth assuming zero inheritance. If money comes later, it's bonus, not necessity. Depending on inheritance is hoping someone dies conveniently. That's not financial planning, it's wishful thinking. This perfectionism prevents people from starting. I can't track every cent. You don't need to. Budgeting is about awareness and intention, not perfection. Track the big categories: housing, transportation, food, savings. That covers 80% of spending. The 50-30-20 rule works. 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings. Simple, effective, sustainable. One couple tried tracking every penny and quit after 2 weeks. Switched to monitoring just 5 main categories, stuck with it for years. Progress beats perfection. Modern apps automate tracking anyway. Link accounts, categorize spending, done. The goal isn't accounting precision. It's conscious spending aligned with values. Know where money goes broadly, adjust as needed. Don't let perfect budgeting prevent good enough awareness. Any budget beats no budget. Media loves this narrative. Billionaires pay nothing. The reality is complex. The top 1% pay 42% of federal income taxes. Yes, they use legal strategies to minimize taxes, so should you. The problem isn't that they don't pay, it's that you don't know the rules. 401ks, IRAs, HSAs, mortgage interest deduction, all reduce taxes legally. Rich people just use more sophisticated versions. One middle-class family learned basic tax strategies and saved $5,000 annually. Same income, smarter planning. Knowledge is power. Instead of resenting legal tax strategies, learn them. Maximize retirement contributions, understand deductions, consider tax loss harvesting. The tax code rewards certain behaviors. Use it. Complaining about others' tax strategies while ignoring your own opportunities keeps you poor. Play the game or lose by default. This fixed mindset myth becomes self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm bad at math. Money management isn't advanced mathematics. It's habits and decisions. Nobody's born good with money. It's learned behavior anyone can develop. You learn to drive, use smartphones, maybe cook. Money's no different, just another skill. One woman believed she was naturally bad with money for 40 years. Took a basic finance course, transformed her life. Now she teaches others. The only thing natural was her limiting belief. Being bad with money is choosing not to learn. Thousands of free resources exist. Books, videos, apps, courses. The information isn't hidden. Start with one concept. Budgeting, investing, whatever. Build from there. Not good with money is a temporary state, not permanent identity. Everyone starts somewhere. The most dangerous myth of all. I'm too old, too broke, too far gone. This guarantees failure by preventing attempts. Whether you're 25 or 65, today's the youngest you'll ever be again. Starting late beats never starting. A 55-year-old started investing with just $500 monthly. By 67, had $200,000. Not millions, but way better than zero. A 45-year-old paid off $60,000 debt in 3 years after believing it impossible for decades. Progress is progress, regardless of starting point. Here's the brutal truth. Time passes whether you change or not. 5 years from now, you'll be 5 years older regardless. You can be older and broke, or older and improving. The choice is yours. Too late is just fear dressed up as wisdom. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. 50 myths. 50 lies that keep Americans trapped in financial mediocrity. But here's what matters. Now you know better. You can't unknow what you've learned. The question isn't whether these myths were holding you back. They were. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Pick one myth you've been believing. Just one. Take action against it this week. Start that $1-a-day savings. Increase your 401k contribution. Open that investment account. Stop waiting for perfect conditions that never come. Your financial future isn't determined by what you know. It's determined by what you do with what you know. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. So what myth dies today? What change begins now? Comment below with your commitment. Share this with someone drowning in these lies. Because friends don't let friends stay broke believing myths. Your future self is watching. Make them proud.